So last week, well, not before, but we've talked about in the past how Nigel was setting up a new party and has set up a new party, and that this party was going to be, well, his new gravy train. And that's exactly what he has set up, with apparently full control over the Brexit party, and yet still no manifesto. I have a feeling that we'll be seeing it after, and I have a feeling that it will be very... Well, if we keep in, shall we say, tradition, UKIP tradition, it will be basically Tory, but more Tory. So this comes from Exposing UKIP, and I have to say, go look at this blog, because this blog has been cataloguing for years I'll just say its headline because it sums it up perfectly. Exposing UKIP, the racism, misogyny, homophobia, Islamophobia, lies, corruption, cronyism and fraud at the very heart of Britain's party of hate. And that's what they've been doing. And they've been doing it incredibly well for years. So if you are, shall we say, looking to see why UKIP is such a god-awful party, then I highly encourage you to exposingukip.wordpress.com. So go there, support it, and you see for yourself just how bad UKIP come. Because I've come across a few stories on here that even I didn't know about. So kudos to the people who are running this blog. So this one that we're going to be going through today is Nigel Farage, the Brexit Party, an in-depth study. So, for many years we have covered and exposed the antics of Farage's old UKIP party, of which he was a founding member. And Nigel Farage was also leader of UKIP from 2006 to 2009, and then again from 2010 to 2016. He also co-chairs the Europe for Freedom and Democracy and Direct Democracy, formerly the Europe for Freedom and Democracy Group. While Nigel Farage resigned as UKIP leader in 2016, he said, "I want my life back." He then quit UKIP in 2018 over Gerard Batten's obsession and fixation with Islam. However, he is currently serving as leader for the Brexit Party, and since the 8th of February 2019, and as an MP for the South of East England constituency since 1999. Aside from his Brexit Party and MEP duties, he also serves as Vice Chairman of the pro-Brexit organisation Leave Means Leave, and is the host of the Nigel Farage Show on LBC. Naturally, Nigel Farage was a major interest to the mainstream media when he announced his new party and received an extraordinary amount of coverage in the press. The party has surged ahead in opinion polls for next month's European Parliament elections, with a new survey suggesting it is on course to leave Labour and the Conservatives trailing behind. When he launched his new Brexit party, Farage said he wanted a democratic revolution in the UK. Politics on the official website states the slogan is "Democracy is under threat. Join us to start the fight back." So, what is the Brexit Party and who is involved? It is obvious that Nigel Farage's new party is focusing on slogans that will appeal specifically to Leave voters. Indeed, this is the party you will want to vote for if you feel betrayed by Brexit. But the website is sparse for information about Brexit or the EU or anything. In fact, there is only basic information about how to join, how to donate, and how to find Brexit Party events. At these events, you can listen to Nigel Farage speak along with Jacob Rees-Mogg's sister, Annunziata, and how about you were all quote-unquote betrayed by the big bad Theresa May and the Tory government. Then there's Richard Trice. Trice is a multi-millionaire property developer and co-founder with Aaron Banks of Leave.eu. Aaron Banks is back under the spotlight again after a recent Channel 4 exposure in which he was accused of covering up the group's targeting of far-right extremists in the 2016 EU referendum. Trice also found Leave Means Leave shortly after the 2016 EU referendum. He co-chairs this with businessman John Longsworth. Trice is an interesting character. Trice is the CEO of the asset management group called Quidlet Capital LLP, which has around 500 million of property under management. He once stated that leaving the EU would be a very simple process and that I don't think there would be any disruption at all. This is not cataclysmic. His own website also notes that he ran his own distressed debt advisory business until late 2019. Venture capitalists are investors that acquire distressed firms in the hopes of making them more profitable as to ultimately sell them for a profit. And yes, the man of the people who is really going to be affected by a crash out no deal. This is the same Richard Trice who proclaimed the following: that there is nothing preposterous about wanting to take back control over British borders. Metropolitan liberal elite. Annunziata Rees-Mogg has also worked as a stockbroker and journalist and used to edit the European journal owned by Brexiteer Tory MP Bill Cash. She has twice failed to be elected as an MP. But there's also Ben Habib. Ben is a property fund manager. You notice a lot of people who are funding, and because I've noticed this quite often, so I wonder if there's a connection that hasn't been made yet, or there's something that just hasn't twigged with a lot of people that are doing this. There are a lot of people who oppose Brexit, you notice, are quite big when it comes to owning a lot of property. And one of the things that, if you know about the property market, is that a lot of property developers knowingly love to buy when there's a downturn, because that's when the most property, shall we say, gets freed up and becomes available to buy at really cheap knockdown prices. So I'm wondering if a lot of these property developers are funding Brexit because they know that there will be a downturn and that this will be good for them because they can go on a buying spree buying lots of really cheap properties. So the company which he is CEO of, has boasted exploiting Brexit's nervousness to maximise profits. Mr Habib, who lives in a £6 million mansion in Hampshire, has been accused by Labour MP Alex Sobel of putting our country back through hell just to make a quick buck. The former city trader Catherine Banetlock, I think that's how you say it, another city trader like Nigel Farage, is the former leader of the Brexit Party, which she founded in January of 2019. She was forced to resign in March 2019 when it was disclosed that she had made anti-Islamic and racist statements online. Who knew? Bannock was also a speaker for the economic spokesman for UKIP. So another UKIP connection to this party. It's like they all jumped ship because they knew that Batten would be taking the party in a bad direction. On the 29th of April 2019, it was announced that Claire Fox would also stand as a candidate for the Brexit Party. Claire Fox has denounced multiculturalism as diversive and that she's the director and founder of the think tank Academy for Ideas. The trading name of this is called the Institute of Ideas, who believe that we should repeal hate speech legislation in the interests of free speech. Claire was proudly portrayed by The Sun as an ex-communist. She is a former member of the Revolutionary Communist Party, but now seems to takes joy at riling at the liberal left. Author and environmental activist George Malibot, I think that's how you say it, has argued that these groups are part of the pro-corporate libertarian right, funded by US billionaires. You can read more about the Koch brothers, Spiked, and their belligerent populist, anti-environmentalist and Islamophobic analysis here. And again, I urge you to go read that, because that's quite interesting as well. The Brexit Party now has 14 MEPs as follows, and all of them are former UKIP MEPs elected on a UKIP platform, and all whom have jumped ship to the Brexit Party. A nice job if you can get it. Remember, all these MEPs are drawing massive salaries and will be entitled to an EU pension that is our money, UK taxpayers' money. And these are all the MPs. And bear in mind, this is why I really encourage you to go to this website, because it now lists all these MEPs who have been standing, and they have all been listed as what they've said, and just their absolute, well, as we've already said, they're all here, and there's all hyperlinks to all these people and all the stuff they've done over the years. So, standing, you've got Tim Aker, John Balcock, David Coburn, Bill Etheridge, Nigel Farage, Nathan Gill, Julia Reid, Paul Nuttall, surprisingly, Diane James, Jill Seymour, Jane Collins, Margaret Packer, Jonathan Arnott, and Ray Finch. And oh, the stories I could tell you about that lot. And trust me, go to this, I'll leave a link down below, and go and have a look at these stories, because oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yes, it was seen that the Brexit Party really is just the new UKIP party with a new name, and UKIP is now so possessed by the problems that are Tommy Robinson, Count Dankula and Carl Benjamin that Nigel Farage and co are doing their damnedest to keep on the EU gravy train going any way which way they can. But this time the message is different. This time it's about the language and slogans they use. I'd like you to take a look at these tweets from a chap called Chris Trexinger, who attended the recent Nottingham event. And essentially, again, I definitely recommend you go look at this, but he has these full tweets of a timeline where he basically live tweets through this event. And essentially, as they're about to put it in the moment, you know, this is the one I was looking for. This sums it up. So this is after the whole thing. So I have a beer, so a chance to reflect. Lots of money involved. Slick, professional graphics, big video screens, and quality audio. Compared to say UKIP or even the Lib Dems, this event was very professionally done. The whole event was very much Tory in terms of audience and general feel, with none of the UKIP flag waving and wannabe Nuremberg rally feel. In fact, I didn't see a Union Jack anywhere in sight. The content was as you would expect for a political rally, entertaining for the troops but light on policy. To completely honest, there was a complete absence of policy. Even Brexit was rarely mentioned, with WTO being only mentioned once. The recurring theme throughout all the speakers, so presumably the party message is democracy, betrayal and proud, plus expressing a number of ways all MEPs are spineless, incompetent and money grabbers. Farage's ambition is to capture the anger the people have with Parliament and directed electoral success, not in Europe but in Westminster. With Annunziata Rees-Mogg's involvement and the general feel of the event, it was clear Farage is trying to target dissatisfied Tories. To close this thread, Farage is backed by serious money and peddling dog whistle politics. He is dangerous to the Tories, and his resurgence will slow the Remain campaign, but no more. Ultimately, the Brexit Party is a vanity project built around one man's ego. And so that's the tweets. So there you have it, a vanity project built around one man's ego with the central messages of democracy, betrayal and proud. It's a repackaged UKIP brand with a new name, backed by serious money from very rich people. And as Chris says, with Annunziata Rees-Mogg on board and all previous UKIP MEPs, Farage is seeking to maximise his own potential in Westminster and Brussels. Still, whether Farage will be able to make anything from this is yet to be seen. But what I find most concerning, much more than wealth behind this vanity project, is the message emanating from the grisly podiums. So this is a this was a tweet that someone sent out, and this is quite scary because this is a tactic that we've seen before. So, to reiterate their key points: democracy, betrayal, proud. So the Brexit Party has given up advocating anything substantial about Brexit, and is all about the referendum result. Response from Chris: yes, it was surprising how little they said about Brexit, not even pushing no deal / WTO. It was all about betrayal and has a nasty similarity to this. And so it continues, of the stab in the dark, also known as the Dagger stab myth. This was a legend which was the integral part of the Nazi Party in the 1920s, portraying the Weimar Republic as the work of the November criminals who stabbed the nation in the back to seize power while betraying it. The idea was simple. Germany had been betrayed by Jewish Bolshevik traitors who had worked to ensure Germany's defeat. Am I suggesting that Farage and the Brexit Party are taking notes straight out of Adolf Hitler's playbook? Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. And I agree. I completely agree. This is a very tantalising myth that the Brexit Party are going to start selling. So, to try and actually combat it, ironically, you have to point back at Nigel Farage. So, you have to point at all the stuff Nigel Farage said during the referendum campaign. The fact that he said that he wanted another vote, both before the campaign and after. He's also said, what would be wrong with Norway? That would, according to him, that would be fine. So why aren't we pushing for a Norway-style Brexit? Because apparently Nigel Farage said that's okay. He loves Norway, apparently. You know, there's all sorts of stuff that him and UKIP and people in this party came out with during the referendum that you can say, well, that when they're spinning this myth, you can turn around, but you can go back and say, well, hang on, Theresa May's deal includes this, this and this, and during the referendum you said this, this and this. So how is that a betrayal when during the referendum you were almost saying exactly the same thing? But there you go. But that's, I think, definitely another discussion another time about trying to sort of counter the Brexit Party message. But that's certainly one thing that needs to be done, and I think it's currently being done very well led by Donkeys, highlighting a lot of stuff that Nigel Farage said during the referendum and even before, post-referendum as well. But also, before we finish, go to that website. So it's exposing UKIP. .wordpress.com. I'll leave a link down to it below, but go and see it because there is a lot of information on here. So much. They've been covering UKIP for years, and there is so much stuff on here, stuff that I didn't even know about. So yeah, go look at it.